Speaking of which, what are you guys planning to do for your vacation now that tomorrow's the last show in Boston?
There's actually a kind of an issue before. They have a couple more shows. Originally, when we were asked, they asked us a couple times to do it, and they didn't have the time frame down, and we were trying to get the dates, but I'm going straight to Japan with my family during my kids' spring break and stuff, so we're going to actually miss the last two shows on the tour. We go to Japan, come back, and basically go straight back to work.
Are you doing the summer festivals?
We got a lot of things that are in the process of right now and stuff that we're finalizing. A bunch of changes going on. Obviously, we have Dave Lombardo's playing drums with us now, so that's changed everything and for the better. And we're excited about definitely going about how it's working out and going forward.
Speaking of which, a lot of people have said that he's added a new intensity to the band, and a lot of other fans are saying that they like the fact that he's fast, he's clean, and they feel that the original recording would have done well with him as well, that he really has the musical aspirations for what you guys were going for. How do you feel he's heightened the sensibility of the band musically?
Well, I think there's two parts. One, there's the name, so there's people who were excited. Initially, obviously, people said, oh, wow, actually I can see that. The other is when you actually see it and you hear it. And there's a lot of times when people, quote unquote, get together and it's for fun and they don't take it serious. The thing about Dave is he's very serious. It's not for me to quote him, but he loves the band. So he goes, I love the music. And you see that when he's playing, I can't fake what I do. He can't fake what he does. He's up there and just doing his thing, and it sounds so good and it's so fun. And I mean, that's one of the things with this tour. It's just refreshing that it's like, bam, just do it. And every night, there's the people that obviously are anticipating it. There's the people that are excited about it, the people that are like, okay, I'm going to check it out, and the ones, and still to this day, some people don't know. Even yesterday, I went out in the crowd afterwards and someone was like, man, your drummer's amazing. I said, yeah, Dave Lombardo. And, yeah, I know Dave Lombardo. That was Dave Lombardo. I mean, it was a big place in there in the very back, and you can't really see it. I was like, yeah, I didn't know that. It's been great. It works. He's a great person. So it's just been a lot of fun, and it definitely does add an intensity. I mean, going years back, I've always known, obviously, Slayer and Dave, and I've always kind of said, wow, if we had someone like Dave playing, you do those little things sometimes in your head, and now we actually do, so.
Awesome. So I want to shoot to the album, 13 years, 13 songs. 13's a lucky number for you. My question was this. Usually when you guys come out with an album, it gets trashed. And then when you move on to the next album, people praise the previous one, and then so on and so on, and it's a back and forth. How do you feel 13 was recepted by people?
Well, I think for us, there was just a lot of issues. The record, I mean, we still go out there now, and there's people that don't know that we put out a record because we didn't promote it, do all those type of things, stuff like that. I think one of the most difficult things about it, we were recording songs, so many songs from so much time, and then trying to put songs together that were recorded at completely different times with different people, and then trying to get other people to play on it because their feelings aren't heard and this and that. It gets away from what music is to a certain degree. I think it's one of those ones that you go back, and if I had to do over again, I think would have done it the way that we've traditionally done records. We do it when we love it, and it's like, okay, we got to re-record it now for this person or that person. I think was probably a mistake. Not that it made it not as good or something like that, but we just spent so much time trying to make other people happy rather than just keeping that time on making it so that we loved it and stuff. Most of the time was spent on the wrong reasons, I think.
I love the band name. I have no idea how you guys came up with the name. We all know the story. You guys were just friends, and it came about. It was something to do. You guys hated the music on the radio, much like today's radio music sucks. How did you guys come up with the name and the concepts, and why the subject matter?
Well, for us, my brother is a pro skateboarder, and Suicidal was kind of like a saying, go for it. It's like if there's something, you're on the top of the hill and you're scared, you're like, ooh, that looks a little steep. You've seen other people do it. You know it's possible. It's like, dude, suicidal. Yeah, and psych yourself up. I think it's all how you look at things. There's certain people, that I had friends that their parents, don't do that. You're going to get hurt. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. And there's a point that I think you hurt people more by not letting them do things than going out there and falling down and realizing the result. For everybody, it's like me. Example I use a million times. I don't ski. Somebody put me on skis and had me go off a jump. That would be crazy. That would be suicidal in the bad sense because I haven't done it. But because I can't do that, all the people that ski and spend a lot of time doing that, it's not my right to say, no, you can't do that. That's crazy. No, they know what they're doing. I think that's the thing where you sit there and go, what is crazy and what isn't crazy? I think what's crazy is not trying to live your life. Not in the stupid sense of just like, I'm going to jump from this building to that building and there's no way I can do it. It's pushing yourself to accomplish things, whether it's in school, you know, and with degrees or intelligence or jobs or whatever and type things, or just in life and stuff. You know, there's always going to be something, you know, if the Wright brothers didn't challenge man wasn't supposed to fly unless he'd have wings, you know, kind of thing, we wouldn't be flying. There's always somebody that's challenged conventional thinking. And I think that's what it is. Probably a lot of great inventions that didn't happen or took longer because someone that had it in his mind said to him, you know what, maybe this is possible, discussed it with the wrong person that said, there's no way that can happen. And they didn't have the fortitude to go and try it. You know, so we always say, hey, you know what? Follow your heart, follow your beliefs, do something that's important. My dad always said, regret lasts forever. Think before you do it. So know what you're doing, why you're doing it. And if there's a good reason for it and you understand, give it your best, you know, and whatever you do, give it your best or don't do it.
As everyone just heard, you are a great motivational speaker.
Been called a lot of things. Some people say motivation speaker, some people preacher, some people asshole. You know, it all depends on where you're coming from. There's some people that my dad said, like to sit on the couch, point out all that's up and drink the beer, smoke their pot and say there's nothing I can do. My dad was always the one that it was like, hey, you see it's up, then get up and do something. Get off your ass, now do it, you know? If you can visualize it, then you have a responsibility to try to make it better. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, thank you for this and that. But ultimately, as my dad said, and I told this to many people, I said, I appreciate that you feel that something helped you. But ultimately, my dad said, I can tell you everything you need to know. But if you screw up, I'm not taking the blame. And if you do good, I'm not taking the credit. And I think that's the thing, you know, sometimes people just need something because they have too much doubt with themselves. And they get that doubt because everybody else doubts them, so they start believing in the doubt rather than believing in themselves and stuff. And we sit there and go, you know what, you got to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you're going to have a up life.
And speaking of your father, I love the fact that you always bring him up in interviews. Every time you're on stage, there's always wisdom that you got from your dad. And it's when you say this is a family, you can truly see it. The band, even the crew. I was talking to the crew. They're always, hey, you need something? It's okay. Everyone's there for each other. I was wondering, have you ever thought of documenting some of the wisdom your father has given you, like writing a book?
I'd actually, because we always talk about books, and I go, I don't really want to write a book. But if I ever did, I was thinking, you know, if I did a book, it'd be with my dad and say, if you need a father, you can bother mine.
So when you support and when you're on tour, some people have asked the question, you don't always play Institutionalized. I was wondering, what is the concept behind that? Because I will notice, although Institutionalized is not in there, I saw your mommy is dead or something else. I was wondering how you go out and write the set list prior to the show.
Well, this one's a little bit tricky because we have a shorter set list. We played Institutionalized last night. We played it on most of the tour. It's tricky because 40 minutes goes really fast for us, super fast. And you sit there and you kind of don't want to play the same set every night, but you know, you switch it up and then someone, you didn't play this, you didn't play that, you didn't play that and stuff. So it gets a little bit tricky. To me, it's like, ultimately, I'd rather have a longer set, you know. I enjoy that because I think that there's a point where we, on this tour, we did 2 headlining shows. You see the people, you play for an hour and a half and people are pretty much, they're done. You know what I mean? You're drenched in sweat and they're done. And they're just like, oh, wow, that was great. They're like, they don't really sit there and go, you didn't play. They're like, oh, wow, I got a great show and stuff. So obviously when you have as many records as we do, and you only have 40 minutes, people are like, oh, wow, it's over. Oh, but there's this, and that. It's a tricky thing. But as we do every night, you know, we started doing, and I'll do it tonight, you know, it's important for us being here. We have an opportunity to be here. We have found on this tour, there's a lot of people that have never seen us before. There's a lot of people, as I say, that haven't seen us in 20 years or so. And as we say, if you haven't seen us in 20 years, you haven't wanted to. But most importantly is how many people are going to come back. You know, there's been so many people that have come to the show and you talk to them afterwards and they bring their kids. They didn't come to see Suicidal, but they go, oh, my kid wanted a Suicidal shirt, you know? So I think that's great. And so many people that come up and go, dude, I haven't seen you in 20 years, but I will definitely be back when you come back. And I think what happens is people kind of think, if you haven't seen the band, you think, oh, it's not my band. And being in this environment, they're there, so they're going to check it out. And they're like, oh, they're not kind of what they thought we are, what they're hearing. Right. And they realize, they're like, oh, wow, I actually like this. So it's been a great thing. I mean, even to last night, I was out in the crowd and there was a guy that came up, he goes, I'm 59 years old, never heard of you in my life. I'm going to come back when you come back. That was amazing, you know? And I was like, well, thank you. You know, so there's always, from the little kids to older people, it's great to be able to play in front of people that haven't heard the music or that just seen the name, but they weren't around any of those kind of people that listen to it, or they saw the people that were into it and they go, I don't look like that, I don't sound like that, and they think that it's different, and when they're actually there and see it, they go, wow, I really enjoy that. And it's almost confessional. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed that. So it's funny.
Is that the reason you continue to tour? Because you have your own solo project. You have Infectious Grooves with Robert Trujillo, even though he's still with Metallica. Is that why you keep Suicidal Tendencies going? Because it's like the bigger brother that gives people that extra push to keep going and step outside themselves?
Well, I think for one thing, like you mentioned, European festivals. In Europe, it's great because, last summer we'll go and we'll headline a skateboard event, and we'll headline, a punk rock thing, or we'll do a metal festival, or we'll play all kinds of different things. In France, we played a festival. We were literally the only band that had amps. We play a lot of different things that other people, they just do metal or they do hardcore kind of thing. And so we're able to switch and play in front of a lot of different people, completely different people sometimes, depending on what day it is. And to me, that keeps things very exciting. And so many people, too, as I talk about the kids, they say my first show was Suicidal, or the first show I really loved. And my son's 12 years old, and this is his first show. I wanted it to be a suicidal show. And so those things like that are really cool, too. And all the people over the years that you took pictures of them when they were like this tall and 8 years old, and now they're, a foot taller than you. And it's like, I think it's a great thing. And, with Suicidal, it's something in the first interview you said, this isn't a job. It'll never become a job. And I think people would see that. If you don't want to be here, I'm sick right now. I hate being sick. There's things that happen at home. There's family issues. Your kids get sick. Your kids miss you. The tree falls down and the power goes off, and, and your wife got 3 little kids. She's got to handle it all. Things always happen. There's never a good time for bad things, but it happens. You have to deal with it. But when you're on the stage, you have to sit there and put in terms of, hey, I went to a lot of shows when I was young, but there was very few that I just went, afterwards. And that's why we're here, is to get people afterwards to go, and maybe they say it differently in their kind of thing. You're like, whoa. But that's what we want to do, is something, and let people see the differences between us and other bands. And some people, they'll be there and they will not even look at you. Their heads down, they're, and scared listen. And other people will just, yeah. And that's a great feeling.
Back to your father, with all the wisdom he's given you. Is there a particular piece that comes to mind first when you think of the best wisdom you've given or he's given you?
Dad always said in life, you have to learn how to say no. When you use the word, you have to have meaning. Anyone can say words, but they have no meaning. He said, no, he doesn't yell, doesn't scream, no. And he goes, if you don't understand, I'll try to explain this or that. But if you don't want to understand, that's your problem. No is no. I'm not going to yell and scream. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not saying it just because I don't know what to say. I'm saying it because I know what I'm saying. And it's kind of like when you're young and, hey, dude, let's go do that. I don't know. That's not no. And there's people that yell and scream. My dad said there'll be somebody on the corner, someone crazy, I can kill you, and you laugh. And then there's a person who goes up to you and goes, motherfucker, you're dead. And you're like, he means it. And I think that's the whole thing. You have to mean it. If you answer something and that's what is correct, then you don't change it based on some fear of someone's size or this or that or friendship or whatever kind of thing. You make the decision what's best and what's right, and you stand behind that. Going hand in hand with that, a surefire way to hell is trying to get everybody else to like you. And usually that's because you don't like yourself. And a lot of things, if you like yourself, it's not a matter of putting yourself as better than the other person, but it's a matter of, if you like yourself, respect yourself, you want to put yourself in that position. It's kind of the one, if there's, your friend or something doing something, what the f*** are you doing? Don't do those things that you would tell your friend, someone you cared about, not to do. Don't do those things and stuff. And so it's difficult when you're young, because especially nowadays with Facebook and everything, things live forever. Right. But you know what? You make your decisions, you make them for the right reason. And long run, you're going to regret going against them. You won't regret standing up for them.
I know you have to go. They're paging you. I have one more question, if you don't mind. Musically, you've done it all. You've toured all over the world. Big crowds, small crowds. I was wondering, from your fellow musicians, what's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Oh, actually had quite a few people say, bands that are bigger than us, various different ways. They said, dude, if I could redo it or something like that, I would want to be you. And I thought that was a big compliment.
May I get an ID for you?
Yeah. Yeah, you know that cough. This is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies, and you're listening to John the Ninja on... do it all again. Hey, this is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies, and you're listening to John the Ninja on... Take 876.3576. This is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies. Tired of getting electrocuted because I keep doing this wrong. You're listening to John the Ninja on 88. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. Hey, this is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies. You see that rebellion? You tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it my way anyhow, even though I keep doing it wrong. Yes, still Mike Muir, still frustrated, still Suicidal Tendencies, and still listening to John the Ninja on 89.1 WYBF. Bing, 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 bing.